insult me and negate what I'm saying. It's 2 5-star print to the nail. I mean, you can not only you're dying from cancer, you're mentally deranged. There's no one to tell you what comes afterwards. Okay, well, you're not a human being, so you know you're not going to rebirth in this physical form, unless that's what she means. She's accepted that. Okay, ask God. There's no one to tell you what happens afterwards. Okay, ask God. He makes all the species. I mean, I would assume you'll transition into a different form of life, or you'll go to another planet and still be Neanderthals, but you won't be on planet Earth in this physical form. Okay? Yeah, I mean, I would think God would tell you if you asked him, if your brain could accept it and understand it. It just seems a bit offensive, but just another one. What is she, 35? She has terminal cancer. Okay. That's the things they'll actually report to you. They hide it so that you'll remain calm. And plus, you guys kind of prefer it like that. Yeah, you don't want to know what's going on, I can tell. So use your money. Do the things that you'd want to do, buy things, go on vacations, things that are not harming others or purposely holocausting other people. Okay, because that disturbs the delusion. It most definitely does. That's why people don't want to have things to do with me. They don't want to listen to me talk. I can't even tell people about myself. And that's understood because they know that there's no reason for all these bad things to happen to me. They know that. And they know that it doesn't make sense that they're getting rewarded for things. And they know themselves some of the things they may have done or thought. So they know that doesn't make sense. Okay, so it's harmful to others to keep doing that to me. So hopefully the judge in the Social Security hearing will understand that and at least approve that. You never know, maybe a Section 8 will come. I'll get contacted by a public housing authority, um, and then people can feel more relieved. And other doctrines will make sense again and stuff like that. Okay. Um, I'm never going to agree to be anybody's caretaker, so let's not get thoughts like that in our heads. Okay. Even Brian said it. He goes, well, if you can go in a 1-bedroom apartment and you can have a caretaker. Probably what one of his friends. Hey, that's whatever they're gonna do with him is not my business. I have nothing to do with Brian Buchanan anymore. Okay, I don't need to know and don't care. Right. So eventually he might need a caretaker. I have no idea. It ain't gonna be me. Yep, it is like that. Does that seem weird that I didn't start acting like that chick that married Bruce Willis? I didn't sign on for this, and you're a pretender. Like, you never, this isn't like a love relationship, and then you got sick and your dick doesn't work. You don't have prostate cancer. You just go, no. That has nothing to do with the lack of affection and stuff. It's just some other type of caregiver, right, that just wants to have an apartment. I've met people at the shelter like that. Someone who she did it on her own, where she moved into these dudes that were veterans places because they let her live there to help take care of them. No, I'm not doing that. I had 6 children, okay, and because you decided that you were going to destroy my life, I don't have any of that. I don't have to have a child who's on the spectrum, um, right, is on Social Security, is having these fights like Brian, because I've spoken to my other sister about it. Her and I discussed it. How blessed I am that it's not my kid. because they won't let you people get away from your children. All these people that just put um, deranged children in their forever homes, I hope you knew what you were getting into, because they're going to be even worse than Brian Buchanan. Right? I hope you know what you were getting into, because clearly you're going to die before them. You're adults and they're children, okay, and they're not like regular children. And they've already been abandoned and stuff. All the stuff that happened to Brian Buchanan, you're taking on a child that was already has attachment disorder on top of their other problems. I don't think I'd go out with the person again who grew up in foster care. No, it doesn't make any sense. It means that they started out bad. They were probably born of a drug addict, which means that their brain's already messed up from being in utero from a drug addict. They were probably sexually and physically abused and neglected. And then they went to a foster care. They weren't adopted out, so they never got fixed. They never got the proper love and stuff that would have maybe helped a person. Okay, so that's definitely something to learn. Yeah, I mean, you could meet a person who has no contact with their family. Like this dude is both things. That's like the epitome of screwed up. The epitome of screwed up. All that happens, and then he still has contact with his genetic family. Just terribly gross and awful. Well, it's part of the reason why I would think anybody of my species here on this land piece, and there's not many of us, trust, there's really not many of us on this land piece. It, yeah, becomes almost impossible to court for marriage people, even if you kind of cared about that. I'm kind of the age now, I gotta say, I really don't have any of that anymore. When I met Brian Buchanan, I must have still been sort of hormonal or whatever. And the second I started being with him, I didn't have any of that anymore. Yeah, like after the initial being attracted to him, is what I'm saying. Once that was destroyed by his behavior, um, I don't have that. I don't know if it would come back after he's gone for a certain amount of time. I'd probably have to meet another person, right? So, right, you could say that's why he has no interest, because he's not interested in me and hasn't met somebody that he is interested in. I don't think it works like that when you're a 38-year-old man. Yeah, it's a little bit different than females that are this age. I'm 54, right? So I think males have a decline, a slow decline about what do they call that? Sex drive, and then they want to have companionship. Companionship becomes more important to them. It has to do with breeding, especially in non-humans. I should say, especially in Oz. How's that? In other species. Well, because the other thing too is males are mostly, especially other species, it's into like breeding, who's good for breeding, youth, whereas other species, it's more mental. You're attracted to a person, but it's combined with love, bonding, love, trust, how they treat you. Right, you have a bond with each other and you trust each other, and it's a relationship and you can feel comfortable with them. This, yeah, I mean, clearly a woman is just going to go, I got to be honest, I don't have any interest in like that anymore. They just, I have interest in, spirituality and nature. Yeah, maybe conversations platonic with other people. But again, the way I am is I'd have to meet somebody that's hot and that you like. When I don't like you anymore and you don't seem hot to me, then it just becomes sort of an anger where everything that I thought is actually true. And it becomes anger, not I'm like horny and you won't put out. It's not sexual frustration, it's anger. When there can't be any denying anymore what you are and the nature of why you even got involved with me, right? Then it's just anger. It might have been sort of like hurt, being rejected, being disappointed, feeling bad about myself because the guy isn't his dick isn't hard for me, and stuff like that. But it's not like that anymore. Or just straight out sexual frustration, like I do stuff for you and get horned out, and then you refuse to do anything. Any person gets angry because it's sexual frustration. It's not that anymore, right? It's just, he actually said to me when we were here once, which again should seem weird, like I told you, like a person that's really, really gross and weird, because we are in an apartment that another person lives in and we can't do anything. He goes, yeah, would it make you feel better if I told you that I started to feel like a little bit horny? And I go, I'm looking at him like, what? Like I had all this stuff going on at the time. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't doing my hair and stuff like I am now and dressing, whatever. And I just go, it's kind of weird that you would say that when I'm in this condition. He goes, well, it doesn't have anything to do with you. But would it make me feel better that he's horny, but it has nothing to do with me? I just look at the person like, how are you this insane? Yeah, that makes me feel great. Take off again before a trip so that you don't have to make up why you can't perform. I'm sure it's got to be pretty. I That's why I said I'd vomit every morning too. I'm sure it's got to be pretty gross because of your mental illness when you know you're not a homosexual, but you can't stop doing weird queer things, beating strangers in a bathhouse for deviant male sex acts. I'm sure that I'd vomit every day too. And I know I can, if I met someone, if I wanted that, it's not as important to me as it is to other species. And I'm 54, I'm not 25. So it's different. Hormones affect that because you want to breed and have children. And my self esteem isn't reflected from a male's attraction. So damaged. And it bothers you and you know it because I lived with Tom Kent. So I had to listen to him screaming about it to his father. That screwed up because of his parents. He knew it and he was angry that he could have never had like a normal life like his father did. He didn't go in the military, he didn't go to college, he never had a real girlfriend, he didn't get married, he didn't have any children, and he wanted all of that. He wanted to have a regular family and he couldn't. I mean, clearly I had a regular family. I had 6 children, a house, Christmas, giving that into the guy. And then I had Phil, who, yeah, I mean, in a sense, thank God, I let out enough of my emotions and shit with some dude who was just a dog. Right? That's why I said the guy doesn't even know how to be sadistically insane. Yeah, like you're trying to convince a beautiful, attractive woman that other people hit on that she's not attractive. Yeah, that's the only purpose you like think you have a dick and start denying it to me. It's like that's why I said the dude's like a demon with skin. I have a dick, but it doesn't like you. That's one fucked up person right there. I told you it's because of being abused by a male or several males. I watched someone with weird behaviors that he couldn't control, and he wasn't homosexual either. Urinate in public in front of people, leaving a bathroom door open, but only at certain times when certain people were around. That torments a person's mind when they realize that they're fucked up, I'm sure. That's why the person couldn't have a relationship because of constant triggers. And he refused to go to psychotherapy because that's how he was brought up. I'm not going to let people ruin my childhood memories. Because he did. He made a whole background for himself before he died, and I did disturb that for him. Brian got mad because I disturbed it for him because for a while I was trying to help him. So I would assume he'll vacillate back into that and tell himself it was a real relationship and think about that all the time again. You all fall short of the glory of God. I don't really feel a need for that. Like, obviously, God's comfort and stuff, but like I said, I'm 54, so I don't really, yeah, I don't need like sex stuff to get comforted by the Holy Spirit and stuff. So that has to do with hormones. Right. For Brian Buchanan getting to that point, it's because he's completely spiritually dead inside. It's sort of like the opposite of me, where you just, I'm sure as time goes on, it will be better for me that I don't even have like that wish or desire. We'll see. But yeah, when God explains to you, until all these other species are gone and rebirth and stuff, it's just not going to happen because there's not my species here. Right. Just it's just like the Bible says. If that's what it's going to be, then right, we'll just stay single. It gets easier when you get older. If you're a young person and on, it's actually worse than being single and celibate. I would tell those people to stick with their person and just stay like that till the Passover is over. Yeah, so far I don't really have a need for that. Um, I did actually vacillate into that one time with Brian laying right next to me. Yeah, then you go, yeah, this is really bad. Really bad. I don't remember ever doing that with Phil, no. You just go, yeah, this is bad. It's bad, but I'm not like having a need to just think about somebody else and then get off when you're laid right next to me. Yeah, I don't have the need for that. Yeah, it's good not to have those type of hormones anymore. I suppose take a shower. My sister had stuff to do this morning, so yesterday and the day before was a lot for me because I don't typically do that. No, yeah, so I'm definitely grateful right now to have a little bit of time just to chill.